Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest edition of Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, the chief content producer and writer of jakestake.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. If you're watching us on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and please subscribe. If you're watching this on our audio platform or listening to this on our audio platform, please give us a 5-star rating. Download this episode and more episodes and to go. I am so excited today because I have this incredible guest today. He's a former Marine turned actor. You may recognize him for his roles of Todd on Tyler Perry's For Better or For Worse, and Cameron Sanders Jr. on A House Divided. But now he's playing Huey Newton on the upcoming Netflix autobiography film of former Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, which is called Shirley. So please help me welcome Brad James to the podcast.
Hey, how's it going, Jacob?
Brad, such a privilege to meet you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to talk with me today. I really appreciate it.
Excellent. No, I'm just glad to be here. Again, weather's beautiful and everybody's happy right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. Before we go any further, I want to say thank you so much for your service.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, so let's get started. So when did you get interested in performing? And how did that passion evolve and desire to pursue a career in the entertainment industry?
I think any true actor is always a performer. So, I don't know if I got into performing or if I just started getting paid for it. It's kind of always been going on ever since childhood. For me in particular, coming through, I think anyone coming through the military, but especially the Marines, you definitely are faced with things that you just had no idea were coming your way, and you feel a lot more prepared for whatever could come your way. So, any true Marine will tell you, once a Marine, always a Marine. And you kind of you leave that organization feeling like there's nothing in this world that you can't handle. And then you come into the entertainment business and you find out that there are definitely levels to this. But I really enjoy the ability, for me, making movies is about taking, whatever that time is, that 90 minutes, and taking people out of whatever they're dealing with in their world, whatever strife they might have, problems at home, bills need to be paid, whatever their deal is in their life. For that 90 minutes, they should be immersed in your world and leave all that behind. And in this case, and especially with anything that's historically profound or accurate, it's an opportunity to learn something at the same time. So oftentimes we get to entertain, and that's always great. But if you can entertain and educate at the same time, it's just a little slice of heaven.
Absolutely. So now you brought up the film, so we're going to get started on March 22, 2024. Shirley, the biographical film of Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, will be released on Netflix. So what drew you to this film?
I think everything drew me to this film. Just number one, the subject matter, like who it is and what an important place in history, especially American political history. It's Women's History Month. For the first Black female Congresswoman to get to really tell her story. That's number one. Number two, it's being told through the eyes of one of the greatest actresses of our time in Regina King, who she may make it look easy, but to take the time and essence of yourself to delve into someone else, it's such a daunting challenge. And it's not one to be taken lightly, and not one that everybody's going to jump to or is able to pull off. And so that's another huge plus. And then our writer, director, John Ridley, who a lot of us first became fans of through 12 Years a Slave, which he won an Oscar for. But not only that, it was funny when he and I finally got a chance to talk. I had just recently seen another one of his films, Needle in a Time Stack, and was just thought the movie was brilliant and brilliantly told. So that was another, you get to watch that and then see this opportunity come across your desk, and it's of course I'm jumping in both feet.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then, so let me talk about the role that you play in the film. You play Black Panther Party co-founder Huey Newton. So, what was some of the research that you did on Mr. Newton that you used to film Shirley?
Um, Honestly, anything I could get my hands on. Um, for me, in the conversation I had with John, he told me that he didn't want an impersonation or an impression. And for an actor, that's a great thing to hear, because there's a lot of great impersonators out there, but that gives you the kind of a surface level of who someone is. And and for me, it was the why is Huey who he is. So he's someone who is just highly influential, where I'm from and in our culture, in terms of people who were forthright, outspoken. Um, he inspired, a series of just like a whole movement of other people. Michael Evans from Good Times was highly influenced by, Huey Newton, and some of the great things that they did as part of the Black Panther Party and the Rainbow Coalition, and a lot of the programs that they did. So, for me in particular, the first thing I wanted to do was, number one, because we're doing it for a historically accurate film, was isolate the experiences of Huey to the years prior to 1972, which was when this film is set. And not, because 1982 Huey is very different from, 1971 Huey or 1965 Huey. So, so one of the things I did was definitely kind of make sure I was staying in that vein of him, the things that I was learning about him, because I don't want to learn anything about him. And this is something I did even on House Divided. Was, I told the producers on that production, was that I don't want to know anything that my character's not supposed to know. So I'm not reading all the scripts to all the episodes. So for me, taking that same principle here, I didn't want to delve into what Huey learned later in his life that he didn't know before this moment. So that these conversations that he's having with Shirley, somewhat, tumultuous at times, could be authentic. So that was one part of it. I mean, I read his writings, which is, if you've ever written a book or anything, substantial, any memoirs, they're very they're very deep and involved, peeks into how someone's psyche, how they're feeling, how they're it's because it's you there, either with paper in front of you or a computer in front of you, or in his case it might have been a typewriter, and you're pouring out just to the page. You know what I mean? So it's this conversation you're having with yourself. So I think that was probably the most impactful part of the process I had in getting to know Huey, outside of just kind of watching him and getting a feel for his feelings and his temperament.
I totally agree. I think I'm very excited to see your performance and very excited to see you interact with Regina. And not only that, it's not just Regina and John Ridley, but you had Lance Reddick on this cast,
Yes.
Stokes Mitchell on the cast, Terrence Howard on the cast. So, what were some of the lessons that you learned from all of them that helped you grow as a performer?
And I'd worked with a lot of times on different days, a lot of the cast members, but on different projects before. Um, uh, Once upon a time, Terrence Howard and I both did a movie for Denis Villeneuve, who's well known now for his work in movies like Blade Runner and Dune. But we did a film called Prisoners with Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal, and sorry, and during all these things, you want to learn as much as you possibly can, because there is a wealth of knowledge around you. But one person in particular who I did did get to spend a good amount of time with was Amirah Vann. And she's playing Diane Carroll in the film. And what's important about that, and she's, she's phenomenal in everything she does. We did a show called Underground years ago for WGN, and she was incredible in that, is that her portrayal of Diane Carroll got to happen in Diane Carroll's actual residence that she owned in 1972, where, this particular meeting took place. So, to do something historically accurate in the place that it actually occurred, really raises the level.
And that must have been an incredible a scene to film, because the thing is, it's like, if you're able to be in Miss Carroll's residence,
Yes.
and then make sure everything was historically accurate, and then you do that, I really hope audiences pay attention to that, because that doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely a rewatch movie. A lot of movies I can only sit through them one time, but this is definitely a film where every time you look at it, you're going to pick out something new or figure something out. One other aspect of this film that may or may not get the love that it deserves is our costume department. I'm one of those actors that you can prepare for a role, but until you get in that wardrobe, you don't necessarily feel like when Johnny Depp puts on that Jack Sparrow pirate outfit, I'm sure it aids tremendously in his transformation and really feeling like you are who you say you are. So hats off to them. Again, not only doing something that's historically accurate, but it's a period piece. And you really have to build everything out.
Absolutely. I was watching a trailer for Shirley, and when I saw Regina King for the first time as Congresswoman Chisholm, I was like gobsmacked.
Yes. Yeah. Really, really phenomenal job. And you can tell the difference when someone really takes the time and does the work. And, for me, when I was taking on Huey, I did it in layers. I did it a piece at a time. It's not something you can not for me, it's not something I can do in a day. It's, you have to take it a piece at a time, step back, be you, recognize the differences, understand the reasons why, and then kind of come back to them again. Watch more tape, read more writings, just little by little, absorbing as much as you can, so that in that moment, you can look in the mirror and see not only you, but the essence of whoever you're trying to bring to life.
Absolutely. I want to briefly exit Shirley for a little bit and talk about, because most of my audience might know you from your time as Todd on Tyler Perry's For Better or For Worse and Cameron Saunders from House Divided. So what were some of the similarities and differences between these characters? Because both you played these characters for a very long time.
Yeah. We did, I think 6 or 7 seasons on For Better or Worse. And we were the number one show on All Black Network for all our seasons on as a House Divided. So it was a really great opportunity with both of these characters. I love doing series work. Series work, really allows you to grow your character. The next season isn't written yet, so what happens a lot of times is based on what you bring to the table. And for me, especially doing For Better or Worse, it was my first televised series. And in that, I got to work with someone who would go on to be one of the most successful producers in Hollywood history, in Mr. Tyler Perry. And that's really a boot camp. It's really where you get in there and see, a fast-paced environment, a really fun environment. I saw great examples of work ethic from he and Mark Swinton down there at those studios, and really developed some lifelong friends between my cast members. So we had a ton of fun on For Better or Worse, which was a completely different environment from a House Divided, which I like to call a daytime / nighttime steamy soap. It was a whole different environment. I went from playing like kind of a young bad boy to a real bad boy on House Divided, and it was just it was a really rewarding experience to play two very, very different kind of characters, and I guess in similarities, they kind of looked alike. That's kind of all I'll give them is that Todd and Cameron Samuels Jr. kind of looked alike, and I don't know why that is.
Awesome. So I'm so glad that you mentioned about Mr. Perry's sets, because it feels like he puts a lot of passion in all those things. Like I remember him being at a taping at Tamron Hall's talk show way back 2019, and he was the guest, and I immediately was in awe of his work and like how he was able to like showcase his leadership and to inspire the audience.
Yeah. I wait for one day for him to go ahead and admit that there's 3 of them, because there's no way someone's writing all these episodes, showing up with us every day, directing all the episodes, making changes, working with the crew, doing the edits, and then flying out to go do stage plays that he also wrote and performing in them, and then come back and film with us the next whole week. It's just, it's got to be more than one of them. And if I gave away your secret, Tyler, I apologize for that, but there's just no way.
I apologize too, Mr. Perry. I have so much respect for you. I would love to have the opportunity to welcome you on my podcast. All righty. So what have been some of the challenges that you faced staying in the entertainment industry?
It's just learning lessons. I'll say, and that's one thing I'm grateful for. Not only my family that raised me, but for the Marine Corps for, which is just realizing that there's always going to be change in life, and to be prepared for it. So in terms of the entertainment industry, you think you can kind of get in here and just be an actor, but there's a lot more you have to do and learn and understand in order to be an actor, especially professionally. So I'm really grateful for an amazing team that I have supporting me, because without them, it just doesn't move the same. So you just really want to have great people around you. So I've got a phenomenal agent and manager, and PR team that kind of makes it happen. And then of course your day to day is going to be the most impactful. So in having a supportive family, and my wife and kids around me, that just make it so much more worth it. You're muted.
Oops, sorry about that, everybody. I hate when that happens. So anyway, we got to start writing down our conversation. So what are some of your favorite social media apps to connect with your fans?
You can reach me on everything at Mr. Brad James, especially on probably Instagram, and then everything goes out from there. So, follow me on Instagram at Mr. Brad James. You got to actually follow, because I do more stories than actual posts that stay up on the page.
And I'll make sure to follow you after the interview. So last question, are you ready?
Yes, let's go.
Why should my audience watch Shirley?
Your audience should watch Shirley because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This character will never be portrayed the same. So much work has gone into making this, and it's a piece of history that has been yet untold, and now it's being told at the highest level. You've got a collage of some of the best people in the world that came together to bring something that is not only entertaining, but is educational. It's timely. This is an election year, and no matter which way you vote, you want to know how the process works. And watching a trailblazer as she blazes that trail is going to be a rare occurrence. And, also watch for Huey. Check Huey out. Learn something about him. Pick up his book. And spend some time with a lot of these guys. You're going to see over 15 real life people and their real life and their real life influences in the world that we have today. So watch it because you need to.
Thank you so much, Brad. And guys, have you missed an episode of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast? Visit our channels on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, Spotify, and Spreaker. Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar, JACOB ELYACHAR. Now, are you on social media? Because I'm on social media too. Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube. Jacob Elyachar, JACOB ELYACHAR. And guys, want to check out more interviews, want to see what happened on America's Got Talent Fantasy League, what's going on with the Masked Singer, head to jakes-shake.com. Once again, jakes-shake.com. Brad, it was such an honor and privilege to sit down with you, and I cannot wait to watch Shirley.
Yes, thank you. Pleasure was mine.
All righty, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, everybody, have a great one. Yay!